Hey everyone, I'm Bill Inman. I'm excited to be here today with LJ Morris, who is one of the original founders of SmartSearch, one of the leading applicant tracking systems in the market today. Now, this is a very special interview with LJ. We work together. This kicks off a new chapter in our thought leadership series, but I think it's appropriate because LJ Morris has long time been one of the innovators in the ATS applicant tracking system market, having helped to build the system from scratch over 30 years, and he's seen it all, done it all, and seen the market change, and has a really good bead on where the market is going, especially since SmartSearch is coming up with a new modern platform approach, moving from a cloud-based model to a more robust platform approach. So LJ, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to ask you some of these questions. So we'll jump in. I'd love to start just by hearing a little bit of your background and your story, how we got to where we are today. I mentioned you've been in the industry for decades. I think I actually said 30 years a few minutes ago, but I hate to date you. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you got where you are?
First of all, I'm not quite that old. I've been with the company 25 years. So it's, I started in July of 1997. So I'm coming up on my 25th anniversary. So that's kind of exciting. I started from the corporate IT side with a programming background. I've always had a passion for business, so my degrees are actually on the business side, finance and that sort of stuff. And when I started with the company 25 years ago, the question that the former CEO asked me at the time is, why would you want to work here? It was a small company struggling, but I saw so much potential. And I was eager to join the team, and it's been just a real privilege to be part of this journey for 25 years. And we've always been, you know, sort of the little train that could. We've gone up against the big Goliaths, and we've held our own through several recessions and onslaughts of, you know, competitors coming and going. And we're still here going strong. So we're proud of our heritage. I think what's really kept us alive this whole time is we are just truly passionate about partnering with our clients. And I think a lot of our clients really view us as more partners than vendors. And that has resulted in very long relationships. I think our very first client, client number one, is still with us after 37 years. So that's quite the testament. They went from one office to hundreds and hundreds of offices worldwide. And we have many other scenarios just like that.
37 years ago, there were no commercial cell phones. So what a run it's been since then. So I know, let's remind everybody, you've only been here for 25 of those.
Yeah.
So,
we used to have a bank of modems when I started. We had about 75 modems for people because we had the first online version, and you could call in and use one of those newfangled browsers to actually do searches. So that was, we were the absolute first on that before there was even an internet to do it.
From 56K baud modems to now we're in the metaverse world now. So things are so fast. So we're all, and you've done a great job of keeping up. Just one noteworthy thing. We're going to talk a lot about technology today, but I will tell you that previous to working with SmartSearch, I worked for a $10 billion ESOP, employee stock ownership program company. And obviously people are motivated there because they own part of the company. But LJ, you and the previous founders and the team today have done a fantastic job of running a company where people love where they work and they're really attached to it. I think that's a hallmark that every company needs. It's certainly not something that's required to run a software business. So any thoughts on that?
You know, for me personally, the employees, the team members here are just as important as the clients. You know, I rely on them every single day, and I want them to know that they can rely on me. So it's kind of a mutual respect we have for each other. And it's the same with the former owners. You know, it's always been, everyone likes to say, oh, this is a family. I mean, this really is a family. We've been through some tragedies together. And one of the great things about working with SmartSearch is, you know, they have your back no matter what life throws at you, which is so valuable. And I think it's, you know, I've been with the company 25 years. Debbie Sims has been with the company 24 years. Jess has been over 20 years. Sylvia, I believe, has passed her 20-year anniversary as well. So we have a long list of employees who've been here a long time in a market that is just insane. To have tech people who stick around really is a statement to the company and the culture.
Yeah, well, kudos to you. I haven't been here that long, but I've been in business a long time, and it's a rare thing. So back to the interview. I just wanted to shout that out. So can you tell us about the kind of companies that SmartSearch services today, the kind of solutions it provides to them as well?
I'm sorry, someone's sticking their head in my window trying to distract me. That's my team. We're always having fun with each other. So, the we have we're unique in the industry because we are flexible enough, even with the current the versions that we have, where we can support both corporate HR and staffing firms. And there's really not a lot of players in the industry to do that. Not only that, but within each industry, we have just a huge spectrum of the types of clients. We have healthcare clients, hospital groups. We have, some very large oil drilling companies down in Texas. We have companies that manage nuclear power sites. On the staffing side, we have, huge international staffing companies. We have small startups. So we're a company, I mentioned, client number one, that's not an uncommon situation. One of our other larger clients started with 20 users about 10 years ago with us, and they're now up to, I think they're going to surpass 400 recruiters this year. So SmartSearch is truly a platform where you can start small and it's affordable, and it gives you all the features of the big guys. And without having to migrate to a different system, you could grow your company to $1 billion company easily. And SmartSearch will be able to handle the volume, the complexities of your needs. You can, tailor your workflows and all of that to really adjust as you grow. And I think that's one of the things that really makes us unique and what keeps the job fun. I mean, when I first started in HR software, my only concern was, all of my friends at the time were going into mine detection systems and some defense contractor. My brother-in-law got a position at Qualcomm designing this newfangled digital cell phone technology that was going to be huge. And, I was going into staffing and HR. Did not seem very exciting. Turns out it's actually a very competitive market and very exciting. And, that's one of the things that keeps me going every day.
Yeah, it's super competitive. I mean, you're coming from a space even 25 years ago, there was a handful of applicant tracking systems in the space. Yep. And now when you walk into a conference, there's a handful that you can see right in front of you. There's just so many different companies now.
There's a lot of them out there. It keeps you on your toes for sure.
Yeah, and about the target market, one of the things about working and really being born kind of in the staffing industry is they're tough clients to service because the level of urgency is about as high as it gets, right, LJ? I mean, staffing companies need something yesterday and they let you know about it.
Yeah, it's, I try to, when I talk to my peers about our industry, I can't quite convey enough how critical time is in this industry. And if you're often, especially like in an executive search or even a staffing, a lot of times the companies are sending some similar or the same candidates, and it's the person who gets it in first can get the contract. And so it could literally be down to 2 minutes, a minute, 30 seconds. Those things come into their timestamp so that, the system just has to be up. It has to be fast. It has to be ready. And when you go into a global market, it has to be ready 24/7. We don't have the luxury of saying, oh, we're going to be down for 9 hours from, 10 p.m. local time to 6 a.m. because there's operations across the seas that's their workday. So it really makes for a very challenging situation, but it's one that we've managed to meet. I mean, our uptime historically, if you were to take our uptime, I don't think anyone could beat us in that area. And that is really a testament to a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I do. I know that the company's made a significant investment in that global infrastructure on the hardware side to support those kind of situations. So it's something that always has to constantly evolve. I will call out that you've used the word fangled twice today so far in this interview. You're gonna reach your quota soon. Across all these different types of companies that we service, whether they be human resources or staffing, what are the common challenges that they experience?
Well, compliance is a big one. And I will say probably it's the cost of compliance that's really the challenge. I mean, most of our companies are very good at remaining compliant. It's just how much effort, how much time, how much money do they have to spend to get there? How many man hours do they have to keep calling candidates to kindly ask them, hey, don't forget to fill out this? hey, please provide us with your, voluntary EO OFCCP compliance thing. Then when you add in the ever-growing and the ever-changing privacy rules, states are really tightening up on what you're allowed to store, when you're allowed to store, what consent you have to do. You have the GDPR, who they have said, if you're dealing with someone who's a European Union, we don't care if you're in the United States. We have domain over that person's privacy, and you need to comply, and we will come after you in your own jurisdiction if we have to. You need to protect their privacy and follow our laws. So one of the things that technology can help with is to really keep those costs down. And to make sure you are actually compliant, because it's not just government compliant, it may be contractual compliance with your largest client. You have to, if you're dealing with government contracts, you have a whole set of rules that your client has to deal with and you have to deal with if you're on the staffing side or the HR side. So that's a really big part of what we do, is not only help them remain client, but help them remain compliant efficiently and reduce the man hours needed, because especially in today's economy, nothing is more expensive than man hours. So if you can automate a lot of the tasks, if you could not only automate it, but increase the effectiveness of it and the percentage of actually being compliant, I mean, that's a huge win, and that's something we take very seriously. The other thing is, you hear the words the war for talent. I really, here we don't really like to call it a war. We like to call it kind of a courtship. But there's always some issue with talent, right? And in times right now, it's, we need people. So you need a good tool that can find the people quickly, because, the attention span of the modern applicant has really gone down. When you look at TikTok and Facebook, and they're getting stimulants and stimulation constantly, 24/7. They're going to bed and they get to watch 5 minutes of great entertainment. Everything's instant gratification. So when they hit your career site, if there's any issues, if there's anything that bothers them, if there's anything that annoys them, they so easily now just say, oh, never mind, I know there's another job waiting for you. So having the technology that presents the best experience to the users is critical. And then along those lines, when the economy shifts, as it may very well, and goes into more a bear market or recession, then you're stuck with the opposite. You get so many people applying that now you're weeding through thousands of applications to try to find the gem, so you're not making hiring errors. You want the best hiring decision, because as everyone knows, it's very costly if you make a hiring mistake, right? It's hard to get rid of bad people sometimes, especially on the HR side. So that's one of the other things our technology can help you do. You look at AI and the ability to auto rank. So you get 1,000 people who apply, and it gets your recruiters talking to the best matches first. And same with even in a tight market. When there is a quote war on talent, you need to get those people, the quality people, you need to get to them quicker than everyone else and get them to your client, get them to your HR managers before they get snapped away. And that's another real great way that AI can kind of go in and say, okay, we're going to do the legwork. Instead of looking at 100 resumes to find the 4 or 5 that are good fit, we're going to bring those 4 or 5 up to the top of the list for you, so you can start with that. And we do it in a way that's bias free. That's really important with the AI stuff, because you can get yourself in a lot of trouble if you're using an AI engine that will detect your previously poor patterns of behavior. A lot of people have heard the AWS mishap where they came out with an automation engine and it identified that, hey, we don't hire women for executive positions, and they quickly scrapped that. So you have to be careful with that. And we take that all into consideration. We do all of that so our clients don't have to.
Yeah. A lot of good stuff there. So companies have trouble with compliance. They need to stay compliant. Quite often, they don't know how to do it. They need to be very flexible in the market, because it can shift from being a talent shortage to a talent glut very quickly. So they need a system that can adapt to that. And they need to move communications very fast. So those are some of the things that you said were challenges in the industry. I'm going to ask you this next question in 2 parts, which kind of dovetails on what we just talked about. For companies looking to get a recruiting system, what are their most important considerations, whether it be an ATS or even a VMS or what have you? So let's start with the first type. There's not many of these. they're just buying a system for the first time? What are the most important things they need to consider?
You know, there's a movie called Up, animated cartoon, and there's a dog in there that every time a squirrel walks by, he goes, "Squirrel." That's sort of an internal joke here that we'll joke about that because it's so easy to get distracted with the squirrel running by. Shiny objects, another term we like to use. So there's always going to be the issue of the day or the trend that's going on. And I would encourage new companies to look past the shiny object right now. I mean, that's important. And you need a great interface that keeps your users engaged, because the younger generation, you know, they're playing video games. They need to have this user interface that's different than the old fogies like myself. And I'm going to say, you know, I've been using these newfangled computers for a long time. So there's my third and final usage of the term for the day. You know, what you want to do is look at the company's track record, and you want to look at their ability to adapt, because, you know, GDPR kind of hit us out of nowhere, and a lot of companies were struggling with that. COVID hit us out of nowhere. Suddenly having to be compliant with COVID testing when that first came out hit us out of nowhere. You know, you need a company that can face these types of challenges and say, okay, guess what? A week from now, we're going to release an emergency patch to get there. It's not going to be 7 months from now when this urgent trend has gone by. The other thing is switching systems is costly and messy. So it's really critical to find a system that is going to grow with you. We have had clients who've changed their business model completely. Clients who've gone from staffing companies to now they're a funding company. Clients who've gotten out of the staffing department altogether, and they've grown into more of an engineering firm. And they've been able to use SmartSearch to transition even from staffing to non-staffing. Or we've had HR departments where they'll add a staffing division to their company, and they're able to use us in both capacities, the same system. So that, I think, is probably my biggest advice, is to make sure you pick a company that can grow with you, that is tenacious enough and agile enough to adapt as you need. And the other thing is, you could have that huge potential contract that comes, and you get an RFP and they say, hey, can you do this for us? And you look at your system and you go, no, but we could switch systems. Yeah, that's going to take you 3 months. Never mind. And you lost that opportunity. I can't tell you how many times clients have come to us and they've said, LJ, I know this is the incredible ask, but we have a demo in 3 days. Can you help us land this account? And that is the thing where true partnership matters, where we're like, you know, stop the press. We have an important need for our client. It's important to them. It's important to us. We're going to partner with them and come up with a solution rapidly. And we have such a long track record of that. And that's one of the reasons why so many of our clients have started smaller, and, you know, now they're much, much larger. Most of our larger clients, the largest clients, started much smaller and they grew with us. And I think that's really, really probably the most important thing I could say, because even if you're looking at 5 systems and 4 of them have this shiny thing and the 5th one doesn't, because for whatever reason no one's asked for it, or they, you know, it wasn't a need. You know, if you're working with a good partner, they'll listen to you, and that could come out very quickly to help you meet your needs.
Yeah, I think, and thank you for that. I think you answered the second part of my question, which was, if you already have a system, what do you need to know? But you've alluded to the fact that it can be very messy and to switch systems, and also that you need to have a partner that can grow with you and can be adaptable because the market changes. So thanks for answering both parts of that. What should a brand new buyer and a buyer replacing a system look for? Now, you've been involved with as we've talked about multiple times, with the industry for many years. What have you seen that's changed with recruiting technology over that period of time?
Well, technology used to be a tool, I guess, is what I would really say. Is 20 years ago, you know, one of the challenges we had is going into systems and, do we have to use a tool to do this? I have a spreadsheet, you know, that's good enough for me. Why do I need another tool? I think the mindset of what technology is in our life has just completely changed. If you look at the metaverse or Web 3.0, it's all about immersion technology. You know, whether people like to think of virtual reality or virtual, you know, augmented reality, that is going to grow and grow. And even now, the younger people, that's their life experience. So technology has to meet them where they are. And so I think there's been just a fundamental change in people's perception of technology. It's no longer what tools are you going to use, it's what is going to be the best system in my life. You know, it's like we've melded a little bit more almost sci-fi levels with technology. It's so integrated. You know, you have this concept of like the web of things, right? And that is, or the Internet of Things, and that is every device is connected. You know, your refrigerator is connected, your light bulb is connected now. And so that further enhances. I mean, we've even been experimenting with like an Alexa add-on for SmartSearch, where you can say, hey, Alexa, do I have any engineers? Oh, you have 5 great engineers in your area. Would you like me to read their resume? So that's the sort of immersive experience that we're looking into. Then there's, of course, huge quantum shifts in technology that you can't ignore. Blockchain, right? Everyone knows about Bitcoin and all of that, but blockchain is so much more, because it's really at its core, and you know far more than blockchain than I do. You're a real blockchain expert. But blockchain is, you know, the ability to add more and you can never take it away. It's verifiable, it's ironclad, it's in there. Think about the ramifications with that, with background checks, you know, with a resume, that somebody could give you a resume that's already been verified by their past employers, and it's ironclad. You know this is an accurate representation of what they have. You don't have to go through all the steps. Now, there's lots of concerns with that, with privacy, you know, especially if you've made mistakes in your life and you broke the law 15 years ago, right? Many states say you can't look past 7 years or 10 years. So we're going to have to deal with what that means in a blockchain environment. If that gets picked up, or yes, I ran a traffic light or whatever. But that's certainly an exciting area, and especially with contracts, with all sorts of things. I think blockchain is really, really, really exciting. But I think the metaverse, blockchain, AI, of course, if you remember Web 1.0, when it first came out, everybody thought if you had an idea, you could become a billionaire. And so much money was thrown in. And then we had our first bubble kind of burst. And then Amazon came along and said, okay, here's how you can really do online e-commerce. And it kind of revolutionized it. And then Facebook came along and says, okay, those, you know, the video phones that we used to dream of 30 years ago, now they're a reality, except it's so far beyond anything we thought we could have. AI, I think, is along those same lines, right? I think we've had some false starts with AI. And now we're kind of warming up again to some true practical applications for the average company, the average Joe, right? You know, AI came out, oh, it can detect you have cancer. That's awesome. That's, you know, wonderful. It's smarter than a doctor. Great. But so far in our industry, AI has primarily been about matching people. You know, here's a job, here's a candidate. That's great, that's important. But AI can also help your employees stay focused where the money is, right? Whether in HR or a staffing company, because it's easy to get distracted in this world. And if you have an AI engine calling your attention to missed opportunities, hey, have you considered this? Hey, you know, we looked at this, and this is an opportunity you may not have considered, but because of the data you have, it could be a good fit for your sales team. Those types of things and a lot more. I think AI is going to grow and grow and grow and become more meaningful, even from the candidate experience. You know, looking at the resume and dynamically telling what kind of questions to ask based upon this person's resume that are going to get him excited about the job. I mean, to have a true AI, you know, based auto attendant that is not just reading from a list of possible questions, but is looking at the resume, looking at the job and saying, ooh, look, this is almost close to this. How is this? And then to formulate that in a way to pass it on to the recruiter team, because in the end, it's human-centered. But AI can augment that. So, and that's kind of my last thing with technology is, technology is always a big circle, right? You think back to the mainframe. Oh, let's put everything on a mainframe. Then there's client server technology. Oh, this is great. We're going to distribute the computing power. And then it was the web, and now it's, the cloud. Oh, let's put it all back on these super systems like AWS and Azure. It's kind of come in a full circle, right? And it's the same with, I think people are starting to realize we can't forget the human touch of all of this. So the trick to all of this is using the technology without losing that connection, right? A computer, I don't think, is really going to tell you who to hire for quite a while, because it's so much more than their skills, right? It's a good cultural fit. People tend to hire who they like. You could have the best person on paper. It's like when you meet a star that you saw on screen and you meet him in person, you're like, you are not the wonderful superhero that I thought you would be. You're actually kind of a jerk. It's the same thing with hiring. It goes beyond what's on their resume and the lies that people may or may tell on their resume. So part of what we try to do with SmartSearch is to get all the technology, so in the end, the human can make the decision they need to make. And we try to do that in our AI experiences. We try to do that in our career center experiences. We try not to take out the human factor. We try to insert it in, because we think that is so critical for success in all of this. Because everybody's going to have technology, right? Everyone's going to have fancy features. But if you're the company that can really give people that emotional connection, as well as the technology, if you can find a way to reach out to them and touch them on those levels, and you have the tools to help with that, whether it's automation of contacts, automated texting, sending them, hey, good luck on your interview tomorrow, and it's an automated text that you scheduled 3 months ago, but it goes to them 5 minutes before their interview, and you do it in such a way that it really has that human touch. That really goes a long way, and that's kind of one of our passions, is to do all of this with the human touch, and to recognize that in this area, at least for not quite a long time, it's not going to replace the recruiter. We need to help the recruiter be more efficient. That was a very
a lot of good stuff. You have a really good handle on not only the history of it, where it's going, obviously. So going from a tool to like a way of life to being an essential in business is what I heard, kind of the change in recruiting. But what hasn't changed, and I think we started with this, is the human-centered approach. It's something that SmartSearch does really well internally. And then obviously it has that approach in order to keep clients going all the way back 37 years-ish. It has to have that approach to really understand, because recruiting is an emotional buy for the candidate, for the hiring manager. Emotions do count. So I understand that I think that's well put with human-centered. Well, LJ, this has been a fascinating meeting today. I really appreciate it. We got a lot of insights on where the market is and where it's going, and really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you again.
And go buy some of those newfangled computers. They're great.
You had to leave with that. You're over quota. You're going to get a penalty for that one. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.